Welcome to Every Single Journey, a family life original podcast for singles. My name is Becky. Let's explore the ups and downs of singleness together while being reminded that our relationship with Jesus is far more important than our relationship status. As a single person, I can often look at marriage with rose-colored glasses and think all my problems will be gone once I'm married. But life is full of ups and downs, so why would that change once I'm married? Today, we're going to pull the curtain back a little and chat with a married couple about what they would tell their younger single selves. Joining us are Mel and Rodney Coe. Mel and Rodney, tell us a little bit about yourselves, including how old you were when you got married and how long you have been married.
All right. Well, hi, my name is Rodney. We have been married for a good bit. This is called the male punt.
22 years.
Why, yes, dear. I'm glad you threw that in. The 22 years. I got married when I was 32. Well, 31. I turned 32 that first year of marriage, and Mel was
24.
Yeah, that's right. I robbed the cradle.
Nice. Yeah. Nice.
So what advice would you give your younger single self?
It's a really good question.
I would say it is important while you're still single to work through the stuff you might need to work through. Because when you come into marriage, it's a true union. And so that means the good, the bad, and the ugly, it all comes together. And iron sharpening iron oftentimes means friction. So, that can be a spark-inducing process. But if you've worked through things and you're in a good place in your relationship with the Lord, I think that would be first and foremost. If I were to tell myself, it's like, hey, spend more time with him and you got some stuff to work on.
It's interesting because Rodney and I are complete opposites when you do like personality tests. I'm ISTJ, so I am a thinker, I'm a judger, I'm intuition. He is a total feeler perceiver. He's ENFP, so feeling, perceiving, emotion-driven, extrovert,
Yep.
I'm an introvert. So we just had this complete opposite approach. And yet when you think about, as I've talked to the Lord about this over the years, like when you think about a ring and you bring two halves together, it creates a whole, and because I've, complained to the Lord, like, why would you give me somebody who's so different than me? But the differences are what make the completion. And that's a good thing. But how do you get to the place where you can see those good things in each other when sometimes it's hard to see that? So for me, when we came together, if I would go back and tell my single self, like, what should you work on or what should you get information in or what should you be studying, I honestly would say, like, trauma is a really good thing to get information on. Like, there's little t trauma and then there's big T trauma. And I would say in our relationship, my husband, he has, and I think you would say this too, big T trauma. Yeah. But I have little t trauma, and those little t traumas are just as much needed to be, they need to be worked through.
Absolutely.
As much as big T trauma. And when you bring those two together and neither of you have done the work, it's really hard to make that relationship go well. Like, it's just not going to be something that is easy to do. So if I were talking to little Mel, 23-year-old Mel, before she got married, and I think just like everybody else, looking for that person, oh, I can't wait to get married. But I was like, I always wanted to, if there was something I was always doing, I would ask married people, like, how do you make it work? How do you make it work? And I got a lot of different answers: communication, trust, touch, all those things. But at the same time, like, how do you talk to someone when you're a judger and they're a perceiver? When the things you say are coming and sounding very judgmental and the other person feels the judgment, that's going to be a difficult thing to process for both of you.
Yep.
And I think that's what we ran into a lot.
Yeah, I would say that, just shooting straight, and we've talked about this before. Man, that first year of marriage was hell. It was not like the honeymoon. First off, on the honeymoon, I lost my wedding ring. Right? Literally.
Oh no.
Then was able to find it.
The Lord found it.
The Lord, yeah, let's be legit. The Lord found it. That's what that was. I mean, it was in the sand.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
it was gone.
It was gone.
I think I had put it on a fin from like snorkeling or something, and then moved the fin. She gone. It was crazy. But then, you're married, and the two shall become one. But I grew up in a home where if there was yelling, if there was loud communication and conflict, fisticuff was next. It was just going to be. And how do you deal with that? The way you learn as a kid is, well, then you just shut up, you shut down, and you don't rock the boat. Well, that turns out is not effective communication. Who knew? Mel knew. Because Mel grew up in a home where people were they were willing to be.
Well, I grew up in a family of 8. So to be heard, you had to be loud, and you had to, and there was a lot of conflict. And oftentimes for me and my dad, we're very plosive people.
Yeah.
And so we would go back and forth, be done with the argument. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. Fine. That was it.
But then, like after the argument, listening to her mom and dad argue, the weirdest thing, like, rah, 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 rah. Huh. You want to go get an ice cream? I'd love that.
Sure.
That'd be great. How's your day? It was good. Wait a minute. What? That's not how that goes. I don't understand. I grew up had a very, very different experience and learned sort of firsthand how to keep the peace. And this is a phrase that we have shared and talked about with our kids a lot. My keeping the peace is not peacekeeping. It's different. It is called avoidance. It is, I'll just repress what I'm thinking, feeling, and all of that, and assume it will go away and not actually say the things I need to say that need to be heard. And then wonder why later I'm all, like I'm all pent up inside. Mel has said what she needed to say, and I never spoke what I needed to say. And and it
would just stay that way. So it was very, very hard because we didn't know where each other, how we were dealing with it. He would just, we saw each other one-dimensionally or two-dimensionally. What do you call that?
No, I would say that. Yeah.
It's like your argument is two-dimensional. You are two-dimensional. Instead of thinking, oh, they could be hurting. Oh, they could be dealing with the big T trauma. Oh, this could be from childhood. This could not be about me at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Isn't that the truth?
And
it's a real thing.
But you don't see that when it's your first year of marriage. You want to, especially for me, I will say with trauma, like you were the runner and I was the, like, we got to fix this. I was the fixer. Let's fix this. But when you don't know and you're not a handyman and you're trying to fix a bathroom toilet, that's not going to work very well. And here I'm a fixer, but I don't know how to fix relationships. So we thankfully praying and asking the Lord to help, and He would help me, but I still didn't know how to reach across and get him and I to connect in a way that made sense for us. It was still like, okay, Lord, thank you. I would apologize maybe if I'm sorry for this or whatever I did. But that doesn't necessarily fix the problem. Just because you do an apology doesn't mean everything's okay, because now we're just going to have the same thing happen again and again. So then those patterns and that rut that we're creating, this road that we're on, is just being paved with conflict constantly.
You said something earlier that was like very insightful. You're like, sometimes you're in the middle of an argument. And the argument, what's really happening, it's not at all about the thing that you're talking about. That's not what's happening. It's the other person, oftentimes me, was in a moment was thinking about something different, was in a different place, was a specific memory was was popping up. Yeah, trauma. So, and add to that, there was a TBI in there. I had a traumatic brain injury at the time and was literally in the middle of rebuilding my life. I had 4 years before that, had to relearn to speak and write. So, I had some stuff. I came in, some people say, you come with a little baggage. I came in with some trunks. Man, it was crazy. But through God's grace, we're now at this point. And that doesn't mean we have arrived, just learning to communicate more. And it's still very much a process. It's in the thick of it, learning how to be open, to allow somebody in when safety feels like keeping them at bay. That's not a relationship. That's management.
I love where the conversation started and where it sounds like it has gone, because your piece of advice was, Rodney, I think yours was to deal with your stuff and to be with the Lord and to get to know the Lord more and to heal yourself as much as you can. And Mel, yours was to be more informed on trauma and little t trauma, big T trauma, how that can affect a person, whether they're an introvert or an extrovert. And as I've been listening to your guys' story, I've also been hearing a lot of communication, learning how to communicate and communicate in a way that the other person can receive it, but also learning to communicate with yourself on remembering, we're in the middle of this argument. This might not even be about me right now, but it feels like it's about me. And remembering, the other person is more than, I think you said, two-dimensional, Mel, and like remembering, they've got past, they've got trauma, they've got feelings, they've got something that may have affected them just that morning, and now we're at dinner talking about something and we have this problem. Would you be able to share with your younger single self what you might potentially do to learn more about how to communicate well with somebody? Because when you're single, your communication style is going to be very different in some ways than when you're in a relationship. And the world can very easily, as a single person, revolve around me. And therefore, my internal thoughts can oftentimes be how this just affects me, not how this affects the people around me. Yes, I have a lot of great relationships, whether it's family or friends and stuff like that. But I feel like it's something completely different once you get, maybe not completely different, but it takes on a new angle once you get married. Is that something you guys could speak into a little bit?
Yeah.
I love those people that write books like dating books or parenting books, and they don't have kids. They've never been on a date. It's like, but this is what I would do. But there's no experience with it, and there's no actual, acknowledgement of the fact that I've never actually done this, but here's my advice to you. We had someone come over who was at our house one time and was like telling Rodney how to have a relationship with me. And he was like, look, she's my wife. Like, you haven't even been married. How can you give me advice? So there is that element of you don't know until you're in it. To your younger single self that you would say, like, obviously you're never going to know until you actually get married. But if you can get into those friendships that are thought-provoking, where people challenge you, because that's what's going to happen in marriage, is you're going to be challenged.
Yeah.
Because the things that you are learning about yourself is this mirror is just put up in your face that I am not a very good person. And when people step on my toes and when people do things I don't like and when I am hangry, I am not a nice person.
I'm feeling very seen right now.
So what happens with singles is often we isolate. We just don't have a lot of engagement with other people. So we get along fine with ourselves. Hey, I'm a really fun person to be around. When I get my favorite ice cream, when I get to get in my PJs, when we leave church and I'm hungry and we get to get me, the food at the right time. But when those things don't happen, am I just as kind, or am I a little bit irritated? Or when someone asks me a question that I don't know the answer to, how do I respond to that? Or if we get into a little scuffle, a little argument, how do I respond to that? So I think when you are going through, like if you are going to, as a single person, which I would always encourage, getting into some therapy or getting into some counseling, after those appointments, don't just go home and be alone and, writing in your journal and stuff like that. That's good. But then engage with others. Okay, so I'm learning this. What do you think about this? Or do you agree with this? Or I have been really challenged by this. What do you think? So you are going back and forth and you're having those relationships. And especially if there is a person at church that you just grates on your nerves. Because at some point, I promise you, that person you marry that you think is just so adorable and wonderful is going to grate on your nerves. Mm-hmm. Spend a little time with that person. What does that bring up in you?
That's good.
Because that's what I think marriage continues to do, is it brings up all those things. He said the trunks, you bring the trunks with you. So all of a sudden, you're carrying all that luggage, and he's said something that just hits right here in my heart that brings up scary Mel, or I say something to him that brings up 5-year-old scared Rodney.
Yeah.
And he's no longer going to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah. I'm physically in the room, but I am not emotionally present.
Yeah.
Or even mentally in some respects, right? I would say to my single self, so here's the thing, man. Rodney, the last thing you're going to want to do is be vulnerable. And the answer is being vulnerable. You have to talk about the tough stuff. You have to find your voice and say what you need to say so that there can at least be a conversation. And when you're not sure what to do with it, even before that, man, you got to be talking to the Lord, because the Lord is the answer. Like that old saying, how does that thing go? It's like, all right, so, what is the answer? And the kid goes, well, you said it had a fuzzy tail and it jumped around on trees a lot. And it sounds like a squirrel, but I know the answer is Jesus. And the reality is, though, Jesus is the one, the relationship with the Father is the one, that's what changes things. Because you get to a point where you can't. You're just like, I got nothing, man. Like I don't know how to unshut down. And so the thing that I found is getting in the Word, talking with the Lord, or the woods, oftentimes will take down the barriers to where I can say the things that I need to say, and in a way that hopefully won't be triggering, Yeah. I say all that, and it feels like this is still very much a work in progress, but I also acknowledge it is way farther along than it used to be.
And I'll say that's because of education, in a way. Trying to, when you love someone, you want, if they're speaking, I used to say he speaks Mandarin, I speak womanese. We speak a different language. It's a little difficult to understand.
Yeah.
But if I really care about that person, I'm going to try to learn their language.
Right.
And so if I'm going to try and learn his language, I need to understand big T trauma, right? If I'm going to try to have a good communication with him, then I'm going to try and understand what it looks like to experience that kind of fear, that kind of just you completely shut down. Like, why would a person do that. As frustrating as that is to me, because I'm a fixer, we got to fix this. This isn't something that gets fixed quickly. In fact, the Lord really kind of told me to separate myself for a time, like pull back. And, when I did that, because when you listen to the Lord,
This was crazy.
He actually answers. About 8 months later, He came to me and said, I'm going to go see a counselor.
Yeah.
But that wasn't until I listened to the Lord and stopped reaching out and saying, hey, you need to talk. You need to tell me what's going on. You need to. I'm not the fixer. I can't fix things. God can.
Yeah.
So He encouraged me, take a step back. It's okay. You don't have to try to fix this. I'm going to do it. And the Lord spoke to his heart, which was such a blessing.
Yeah, it was wild. It was a specific argument or a specific moment. And I was just in this place and I was like, I want to hear from the Lord, but I can't hear from the Lord when all I'm hearing is you right now. And I didn't mean that as a dig. But Mel she is a fixer and she's incredibly good at it. And the heart is 100% there. But what needed to happen wasn't a fixing, but was a healing. And so when she stopped asking, it was like it got quiet in my mind and the Lord started bringing stuff up. And then, that's when I was like, yeah, man, I'm at a roadblock here. I'm doing everything I physically know to do. And then, so I started going to counseling and it made a huge, huge difference. Y'all, don't be afraid of counseling or therapy. Oh my goodness.
Rodney, I love that you bring that up because that's kind of where my next question is going. Because hearing the different pieces of advice of Mel, you were saying, find friendships where you can have good, deep conversation and ask those hard questions. Yeah. But you were also talking about the person at church who maybe rubs you the wrong way, or what do you do? How do you react when you don't get what you're used to getting when you need or want it? And can you still be that kind person? And I'm sitting here going, I really should spend more time with my nephews in the best way possible. My nephews are young, so they're toddlers. So of course they need a lot of supervision and they're full of a lot of energy. And when they come to visit, it's a totally different world in my house. I'm used to a quiet house where I can go read a book. I can take a nap. I can get food when I want. I can do all of the things that I'm used to keep me from getting hangry or whatever it is. And it's like,
Amen.
Oh, I've noticed, I love them to death, but when they're around, I can get irritated a little bit easier. And how am I responding to that? And I was like, this might be a good incentive for me to spend even more time with my nephews, which I can't get enough time with them as it is, just to help remind myself that it's not all about me. And should I get married one day, I feel like that would be helpful in that aspect. And Rodney, you brought up that marriage is a vulnerable thing, but it's a beautiful and wonderful thing. So we've discussed a lot of kind of the hardships of the piece of advice you would give to help curb maybe some of the hardships that you guys have gone through or to be better informed as you walk into that next phase or season of life. So my question is, for those of us who are listening to this and now we're like, maybe marriage isn't for me. Maybe I don't want to step into that where I have to let go of myself more. I have to learn how to communicate better. I have to be vulnerable. What encouragement would you give to the single who's listening that, yes, while there are these difficulties, while there are these iron sharpens iron growing opportunities, there's also a lot of good and beautiful things. What encouragement would you give the single who's kind of like, maybe marriage isn't for me? But it's this, from my understanding, it's this beautiful, complex thing that's so hard for single people to get a full, good picture of.
Right. I would say it's such a weird, strange irony in that the very things that make it hard are in their own way the thing that make it beautiful somehow too. going through the hard stuff, working through the hard stuff, you grow as a person individually. And then you start growing with the other person as well. And, there's something that I have found myself within marriage that has been key is empathy, like being able to step back from self and look at and try and understand what I know of Mel's experiences, how she grew up, what she's experienced. Why would this be a trigger? That's been huge. And I think that's just growing as a child of God.
So I'm thinking of like a journey, like if you're going to go on a journey and it's like you're going to Mordor, That was a really, really, really hard journey. That Frodo and Samwise, they faced just peril after peril after peril. And for me, the joys are higher. The lows may be lower, but the highs have been higher with someone with you together. When you get to experience something like, together, where we've seen God over and over and over take care of us because we were dirt poor for a long time.
Yeah.
I was a stay-at-home mom working with the kids, at home. And
I was an actor.
He was an actor. Your mama tells you not to marry an actor, and I married a Christian one.
She married a Christian actor. Oh, how lucrative. Crazy. But he was so incredibly faithful in all of that. And so many times it didn't make sense. Like, there's no way this is going to work itself out. Or like, I don't know where the money's going to come from. And
God provided, and so just getting to see how the Lord was there for us. And it was like those moments would just bring us together and make us just go, wow, God is good. And when you have someone with you, what does it say? The 3 chords in the Bible, it's like a stronger, it makes it stronger.
3-stranded cord cannot easily be broken.
Yeah. And it's just like there was the knitting. God was just like knitting our hearts together, even though there was a struggle and we weren't always communicating well, and we still struggle and we still struggle with communication. It's something that we see God is continuing to bring us closer together. And the thing is, it's only Him. Like, we've done our part a little bit, but we both love Jesus separately, and we both love Jesus before we came together.
Yep, absolutely.
And because of that, Jesus keeps inching us closer and closer together. And we start seeing a more 4D picture of each other. And I can tell you that, He has said to me many times, I can't tell you how proud I am of you. And I get to tell Him, I see how hard you work. I get it. Your job is really hard. And having those people around you that are able to really get it, they really get it because they see the day in, day out, day in, day out. He's very encouraging when we're talking with the kids, and then he's able to share his stories with the children. And I think our kids are able to see, because we don't hide
full picture. Yeah.
our messes. We don't hide our brokenness. Like, we're broken.
Yeah.
You want I put my parents on a pedestal, and then they fell really far. And that was really hard for me. And I became very angry and very upset about that. Like, wow, you've said this, but you haven't lived it. And so I've just made sure my children know, you are looking at a broken person.
Right.
And we want to help you because you're broken too, to try not to make the same mistakes that we've made. But this marriage was not a mistake. Just because we have argued, just because we've been rude to each other, just because we've not always had each other's best interests at heart, does not mean this marriage was not laid out beforehand by the Lord. It's just something we need to grow in understanding how to love another person above yourself. And boy, is that hard.
Yeah.
It sounds so easy. And when you write it on paper, it looks so pretty. Love another person above yourself. Bear with each other's burdens. Oh, okay. Until you're in the middle of it. And then you're like, oh, yeah, that's
then
what this
it sounds a
looks
little
like.
more like bear each other's burdens. It feels a little.
You know
it
why
feels
he
a little
uses the
different.
word bear? Yeah. Because you act like a bear.
There's that. It's funny, like when you think of going through life together with somebody, we all have those moments where we stagnate, like where we get to a spot and we're just, I don't know, coasting, I guess you would say. And if you coast, you're likely coasting backwards. You just haven't realized it yet. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's kind of how that goes. Well, when you're together with another person and you find yourself in that coast spot, and then you've got somebody that you're totally entwined with, and they're taking steps forward, man, it spurs you on. You're encouraged. It's like, come on, get your head in the game, man. And then you're back in the game. And right as you're back in the game, something hits the other person, and they're dealing with a situation that's like, I have no idea what to do with this. And suddenly the person who was the strength for you, now you're the strength for them.
So
and
when
that
we
is a
moved
very
here,
cool thing.
Yeah, when we both moved here, I was in a job helping him, and I'm the helper. I'm the fixer. I like to make those lists and check off the boxes. And I'm really good at that. And then I moved into radio, and there were no boxes to check. There was nothing to be able to write down and say, I can get better at this. It's just literally doing it to get better at it. And so he recognized at that point, she is in a different place than she's ever been. Like, she is a mess.
I'd not yet had the opportunity to see Mel in a place where she was without, I guess you would say, her confidence and her checklist. You hear something on the radio is very different than the tears that you see at home, and the confidence rocked, and how that affects the family for a period of time. And a share-a-thon comes up, and the person who's sleeping next to you is rolling all the time because they're just not at peace yet. They're just not at peace.
When they normally go to bed at 9.
Yeah, when they're normally in bed at 9 and they're like out like a log, And so all of that happens, all of those things happen. And during that time frame, then suddenly, it was in a weird way, a huge blessing to me to be able to be an encouragement on a regular basis, to remind her, it's like, hey, it's just a period of time. Like you build a new skill, and then you step forward and you've got that skill that you've built on. It's the nature of, it's like rebuilding your brain after a TBI or something. It's very similar. You're having to relearn completely different systems and structures and all of that. So being able to encourage her while she was able to encourage me as I'm going through my own EMDR and, PTSD type stuff, like all that. It was, I don't know.
A give and take.
A give and take, a true give and take, and like a pulley system. It's like the one pulley might be back, but that's only because the other is prepping for a pull. It's like what's it called? A pull along? Like where one is ahead and helps the other get farther up, and then the other moves farther up because you're pulling each other along. It's beautiful.
So instead of that friction.
Yeah.
Which creates a fire.
Right.
This one actually helps each other spur the other one forward.
Yeah. That's good.
22 years later.
But that is amazing to hear where it started. And you guys didn't have that initial honeymoon phase that most couples do. And you just jumped right into it. And what you've learned along the way and can now share with people who are married and maybe going through the same thing, or in this case, single people looking ahead to marriage. and where God has brought you and all of the highs and lows. And just as our whole conversation has been unfolding, it has been encouraging me and reminding me that life has highs and lows, whether I'm married or I'm single.
Yes.
And my relationship with Jesus is still far more important than my relationship status. So if I'm single, my relationship with Jesus comes first.
Yeah.
If I'm married, my relationship with Jesus comes first. And just expanding my horizon and kind of opening my eyes to that truth in a deeper way, but also in a way that should the Lord bless me with marriage, I can be a little bit more prepared or maybe have a little bit more insight into some of the things that might come up. Obviously, it'll be unique to each person because God made us all unique. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing and being vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to episode 25 of Every Single Journey. If you like what you've heard, click the subscribe button to be notified when future episodes are available. You can also share this podcast on your social media pages so others can be encouraged too. You can learn more about Family Life Singles Ministry on our website at familylife.org. If you're looking for more faith-based content like this, be sure to check out Family Life's other original podcasts, including If That Makes Sense, 10 Minutes With, You Can't Say That on Christian Radio, Therese Talk, and the Parable Podcast. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Your financial gifts make podcasts like this possible as we seek to share the hope we have in Jesus. You can find out more on our website at familylife.org.